guys, it's Vanity Ezel, back at it again with another card fight, Vanguard, weekly reveals, Ezel in the Vanity. This time, we got the last, or what I'm going to assume is the last two ride lines for Token Rambu released, and a bit of support along the way for other decks, and support that I find really fun to use and other people have called bad, and I can understand why. So let's go ahead and get into detail about this and get started. First up, we have Sumaru Kuninaga. Still said, I'm probably sure I've said that wrong, and it's just going to be a full day of these, considering most of these reveals are Token Rambu again. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 intercept. Auto rear at the end of the battle that attacked. If your opponent's Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater, counterblast 1, soul blast 1, choose one of your other rear guards in the same column as this unit and swap their positions. So, you get another attack with your rear guards, and that can be abused really well, because I'm pretty sure there's a grade 2 that is, it gets an effect every time for each more damage you have. If you have 3 or more damage, it gets plus 5. If you have 4 or more damage, you get to stack the top card. And if it's at 5 or more damage, you can counterblast 1, soul blast 1 to restand it. So you could constantly use this, swap it with that, and then get an extra 2 attacks out of it, and just pump to your opponent. And Token Rambu can get a good amount of power. I wouldn't say the best, but they can definitely swing for numbers. So this card adds to that number swing. Next up, we've got Soku Daikiri Mitsuta. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 intercept. Auto when placed on rear from hand if your opponent's Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater. Counterblast 1 until end of turn. All of your front row units get plus 5k power. So that's good. Just place counterblast. Plus 5 to hold front row. An immediate extra 5k guard your opponent's got to throw down, which means they more or less got to throw down like 2 or more cards. Now, actually, no, they have to throw down 2 or more cards unless they have triggers ready. So that's good. And then auto rear when an attack hits a Vanguard. Soul blast 1, choose one of your opponent's front row rear guards and retire it. So, blow up a front row rear guard, blow up an interceptor, blow up something that's probably pesky to you, just do that. So, honestly, helpful card. And it also helps out the old, I don't even remember what its name is anymore, Mutsu Kiwame, the thing from last week where they focus on the back row units, because a lot of these reveals move stuff to the front row, so you can move those things out of the back row to the front row, still kill them, but kill them easier, and then you still get power off of it. Next up, we've got Takiogane Sadamune. 5k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Auto when placed on rear if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater unit. Counterblast 1 and you may call up to 2 cards from your hand to rear without a unit on him. And if you call 2, you draw a card. So, just call for free. Like, the only downside of this is you're counterblasting for it, but, you get an extra draw out of it, so you're filtering through your deck. So that's still good. My only problem with this is, it's only a 5k, you're only drawing 1 card, and it's a counterblast to use it. I wish one of those didn't exist. Put it back to 8. Maybe a 7k would be fine. Or, no counterblast, or you draw 2 cards. One of those instead of just having it be like this. But I think it's still an okay card to run at 2, because it can still be helpful and it can get you that draw. Next up, we've got Okure Kara. Still said that wrong. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 intercept. Auto rear when it attacks without being boosted, if your opponent's Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater, counterblast 1 and it gets plus 10k power at end of battle. And if you have no face-up cards and damage, it gets plus 15 instead. So, the first grade 3, I believe is from the trial deck for Token Rambu. I believe it gets plus 10k power if you have no face-up damage, either that or 20. But this basically gets to do the same thing when it attacks. If you counterblast, so you're increasing both their powers, and it just adds a nice little pressure because it's 25. So it's a 15k guard. And if you boost it, you would have to not boost it, but if you got a Persona right off, or you got triggers, your opponent's probably going to have to throw down 2 cards for this. So, really decent card. I say a 3 of or 4 of. Next up, we go to Dragon Empire for support. A lot of people don't like these next 2 cards. I can understand why. They're not necessarily the best. But I've built a deck around these 2, and it's actually really fun playing. So first up, we've got Blaze Maiden Tanya, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Auto when placed on rear, counterblast 1 and call a grade 0 from drop to rear. And auto rear, when it attacks, soul blast 1 and one of your grade 0 units gets plus 5k power at end of turn. So obviously that's not the best. You get to call grade 0 from drop, which is good, because that means you can call down Trickstar and overdress it. But the problem is, to give something 5k power, it's got to be a grade 0. And only Trickstar is a grade 0. So against prison decks, yeah, that'd be fine, because you're most likely just going to call 3 Trickstars to the back row, and then ran them to death with that because they can't do anything to those Trick Stars and you just power them up there. But in a normal match, that's not really going to happen. Unless you're me, where you call down a bunch of triggers from the skill of Nirvana and you call down Dragon Egg because you still run Dragon Egg as a starter, and then you boost that up with it, or you do what I did as well and just build a deck around these two and it actually works. So if you build a deck around them, it works pretty well, but not necessarily the best, while I want to suggest actually adding it to a competitive deck. It doesn't do much in competitive. Next up, we've got Blaze Maiden Zara. 6k base, 5k shield, grade 1 boost. This is where you luckily the worst out of the two. I do not like this card. It is very restrictive. I like that it's a level K booster, but it's very restrictive of how to get to it, because continuous rear during your turn if you have Ryu or Reno on your van or rear, this unit gets plus 5k power. So you have to have one of those two cards in the ride lane on your van or rear, and everyone else in the world, I am 90% sure I'm the only person in the world that still runs those two in their deck. And it's not because of this, it's because I was too lazy to take them out, but also because it fits my playstyle. This would help people like me. This would not help people like me if they were trying to be competitive or trying to be good at the game. Zara is a fun card to use in like casual games, but if you're trying to go competitive with it, you'd be better off running the vanilla. Yeah, that probably. Actually, no, that's not true. This would be useful in like early rush turns, but after that, the vanilla is better. Next up, we've got Sancho Mao. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Auto when placed on rear if you persona rogue this turn. Countercharge 1. I love all these cards focusing on persona riding because like it's the new function that everyone has. But my problem with it is like for persona ride to activate, you have to have another copy of the thing in hand. The only deck so far, not counting what was revealed today, that could get persona rides for any form of a cost is Dragon Empire. Token Rainbow can now do it, thankfully, but why do they have to make so many cards focused on persona riding to do things like countercharge, get resources back? Drawing I can accept, but why countercharging when a lot of decks kind of need countercharging so you can constantly abuse the skills more and more? Then again, that's probably why they locked that behind persona riding, because abusing the skills more and more would kind of break the game. But, still a good card, especially if you run it in today's reveals where you're guaranteed a persona ride, so, fill back up your resources. Next up, we've got Sohana Otsuruki. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 intercept. Auto rear when its attack hits a vanguard. Counterblast 1, discard 1, choose one of your vanguards, switch your deck for up to one card with the same name as that unit, add it to hand and shuffle your deck. So basically Tencha's dead, but for Token Rambu, and you don't have to retire the unit. That's pretty good, It's only a discard, and you're basically getting that discard back anyways. You are counterblasting, but that's fine, and you get a persona right out of it. So that's really helpful. So I say like a 3 of or 4 of. Who knows? Now on to Dark States reveals. First up, we've got Diablos Edge Grantee. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 intercept. Act, rearguard, soul blast 1 until end of turn. Your opponent cannot intercept, and if you're in final rush, this unit gets plus 5k power. So it's at 15k base, swinging. And it's actually... I have questions about this because I constantly compare this to like Diablo's Bad Jared or whatever his name is, the one from the Festival Collection, and I'm 50-50 on this because Jared can, when it attacks, your opponent can't intercept for that turn if you're in final rush, but only for Jared though, while for this thing your opponent can't intercept regardless, and if you're in final rush something gets plus 5, but Jared gives you a guaranteed plus 10 instead to any Diablos unit, regardless if you're in final rush. So I'm always 50-50 on those two, because I don't want to run them at 2-2, because that just feels weird to me. So I always question which one is better to me between this and that. Next up, we've got Diablos Madonna Viola. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 intercept. Auto rear when it attacks if your Vanguard's Violent Bruce. Counterblast 2, and this unit gets plus 10k power. So 20k swinger. That's honestly pretty good. Counterblast 2? I mean, that's fine in this deck because you don't really counterblast that much. It's just like... Why 2 though? It could be something else, like counterblast 1 and discard 1. Why does it have to be 2 counterblasts? I just don't like counterblasting 2 for a lot of things unless I feel emotionally like it's worth it. Unless it's like a long ass skill that involves a counterblast 2, then I'll do it. But something like this just doesn't feel worthy of counterblast 2 to me. Next up, we've got Nagasone Kotsu. 9k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Continues rear if you have another unit with Kotsu in its card name. This unit gets plus 5k power. So I'm pretty sure I've seen a Kotsu at this point during the reveals. I'm not sure if I have, but if I did, then, you could combo that with this, or you can just call another copy of this, and they're at 14k base during both players' turns. So that's really hopeful to have, especially with one of the newer cards that got revealed today, which gives another unit plus 5k power. We'll explain what that is later. But this card pretty much adds for low power boost. Unfortunately, it's only continuous. So granted, as it lasts and it's a 14k base, it can't get higher than that. But that's still very good to have. Next up, we've got Uashimi Kotsu. As soon as I say I don't know if I've seen another one or not, here comes another one. 5k power, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Continues rear if you have another unit in the same column as it gets plus 5k power. So it is a 10k booster, but a 5k swing. So what I'm getting from this is don't call this during the first turn of the game, because there's no point in trying to rush your opponent down with this unless you have gonna call your entire hand, because this thing does not seem worth it for an early rush, especially since I don't think it can hit in the first place. But on the exchange, it's a 10k booster, so we're on that section. And then we also got the plus 5k power here, so that's a 24k swing. And the card I accidentally showed, but is a really good card. Lineup Chosen Knights. First off, before I even get to the skill, that art is fucking amazing to me. It's so detailed. You get to see Bastion, at least I think that's Bastion. I'm pretty sure one of those is Aladdin. I'm not even sure what the third one is. But oh my god, that art looks so beautiful to me. Anyways, grade 3 order, as obvious, per usual. Counterblast 1 and Solo Blast 1. Activate the following abilities based on the number of grade 3 units you control. 2 or more, choose one of your units and it gets plus 5k power. 3 or more, draw a card. And 4 or more, choose one of your vanguards and it gets plus 1 drive. So, the 5k, okay, I feel like in that case it would be better to pick the Holy Hour Cometh, because that's a Counterblast 2, and you get 5k as well, but you also get 2 draw out of it. So, okay, we got that. Okay, skill. We got a draw out of it, though, so that's fine. And then the 4 or more. The Vanguard gets plus 1 drive. Vanguard that can restand everything, or not restand everything, but can restand a grade 3 unit if you drive check a grade 3, or not, it doesn't restand a grade 3, you can restand anything, but you're most likely going to restand a grade 3 unit. If you restand a unit, gets plus 10. If you drive check a grade 3 unit, gain the extra drive increases your chances of seeing it. So yeah, I can see this card. That seems really good. I'd say a 3 of, not a 4 of. Definitely a 3 of, though. Next up, we've got Atsushi's Kane, Court C. 13k base, Persona Ride, Twin Drive, grade 3. Auto, when it's revealed by your drive check, you may call this card to an open rearguard circle. If you do, until end of turn, it gets boost. So that's good. Granted, it's not like the Dragon thing where it gives everything on the field currently boost until end of turn, but this is for free if you drive check it to an open rearguard circle. That's good. Free booster, you can call less stuff from hand. That means you can probably use that space for more orders if you wanted to. So I actually like this card. I might not use it. I might use it because I'm kind of attached to Darkstain, because I like to not rely on luck, quote-unquote, for this to work. But at the same time, this card feels kind of worth it, so I'm on the 50-50 range with these two. On one hand, one's free, but on the other hand, that free one has to be drive checked, while the other one, as long as I have it, your opponent probably is not going to kill it, or they're going to have to waste resources on it. So I'm kind of 50-50 on them, but it's still a useful card. Next up, we've got Ishigiri Maru. 13k base, Persona Ride, Twin Drive, grade 3, continues rear during your turn if you do not have any face-up cards in damage zone. It gets plus 5k power. Basically, backup grade 3 for the first Token Rainbow deck, 18k swinger. Not too good, but not the worst either. I say he's fine. He's definitely not as bad as the one from the Dragon Empire trial deck that just said, on attack Vanguard, gets plus 2, 15k base. Wow, so helpful. You didn't even add a 5k to the guard unless they're at grade 2. God, if only Bushiroad was so insane to add 3k more power, but that would be way too broken for early overdress. Next up, we've got Heishiki Kiri Hasabe. 10k power, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Auto, when it's placed on rear, you look at top 2 and you place on the top deck in any order. So that's good. You can use this in any deck. Granted, if you want to fit the theme of deck stacking, you use it in the first one. But, stack the top 2. You can stack triggers with it. Very annoying to deal with when you know 2 triggers are coming. It's one thing if you know what the top card is. So, if they're going to go, 1 to pass it. You can afford to put it on van. Or, if it's 2 to pass. Now, with this thing, oh, yeah, I can put it on van now because it's guaranteed to go through. So, helpful card. I say a 3 or 4 because it's literally free. The only bad side about it is an on place, and that's it. Next up, we've got Fudo Yukimitsu. 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. Act rear once per turn. Counterboss 1, look at top card, place at top or bottom. If you put it on the bottom, it gets plus 2k power at end of turn. So it's a 10k swinger if you send something to bottom. So that can be helpful. You could use this thing first, or you could use this thing first, stack top 2. Oh, there's a trigger and a non-trigger on top. Put the non-trigger on top, and then call this guy, use his skill, send the non-trigger to the bottom, and it gets +2 out of it. So then you got a 20k calm and a guaranteed trigger. So I like how these two cards can be in a little combo together. So I say like a 3 of, 4 of maybe. Next up we've got Namezuo Toshiro, AK base 5k shield, grade 1 with boost, auto rear when placed from hand, counterblast 1, call a Hon Bami Torishio from drop zone to an open rearguard circle. So that's pretty much all it does if it's placed from hand. So, if you're going second, you can go second or first for this. You could just discard the other one for your ride line, ride from the ride deck, do whatever your on play skill or on ride skill is, call this thing, use its skill, counterblast, call the thing from that you discarded for the ride line to the rear, and then you got 2 rear guard circles. But you may be wondering, what does Hon Bami do? Here's what he does. He does the exact same thing, but for this card. Same stats, different looking arts, but they more or less look the same. They both call each other when placed from hand, from a drop zone to an open rear guard circle, for a counterblast. So if you're running one, there's no reason not to run the other, because otherwise you're just running a vanilla at that point. So I say run them at the same amount, like 3-3, or I think 2-2 is honestly what I would run for these, because I don't really value them as much, but they could still be helpful. Next up, we've got Cardinal Soldier Plastier, 13k base, Persona Ride, Twin Drive, Grade 3, Brank Gate. Auto rear, when its attack boosted by a Shadow Army token hits, draw a card. So a 28k swing, that's a 20k guard, either 2 cards to drop, or a PG, which is still 2 cards unless they're a 1-hand card, or you just hit and you get a free draw out of it. There's no cost to it at all. So, really good card. It's really good. So I say like 3 of, 4 of. Hell yeah. Definitely not anything bad about it. Next up we get Whirlpool Robo, Ram Drought. 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 boost. Continuous rear. If you have a set order, this unit gets this unit gets intercept. So that's good if you're using it with Prison or using it with World. It's an interceptor, so it's a 5k shield on rear. Unfortunately, I don't think you would use an Orifice because I feel like you're just going to call over with a Shadow token, so, you can get the 5k shield out of it once or twice maybe, but definitely not after that. I don't think you even would call this an Orifice unless your whole hand was triggers. And in Prison, maybe. I can see you using this in Prison, but, I often call more rear guards than, that are grade 2 than this thing, and those grade 2s are more useful than this thing on rear, so I don't know why they made this a thing. Yeah, it's helpful when your whole hand is triggers, and then this card, but otherwise it's a meh. And finally, we made it to the ride lines, thank God. First up, we've got Yamanbagiri Kunihiro. I know that first part of the name is wrong, and I cannot wait to get done with this part of the ride line. So 6k base, 5k shield, grade 0 with boost. Auto, when it's rode upon, if you win second, you get to draw a card. I really like his white coat. It kind of reminds me of the Eugene card, despite the fact I know this deck does not relate to Eugene at all. Only the last one does. So next up, we've got, I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce that, Kunihiro Sento. 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 boost. Auto, when it's rode upon by, not going to try to pronounce it, Kunihiro Toku, counterblast 1 to draw a card. So Circle Magus. Cool. And then continuous rear, during your turn, this unit gets plus 2k power. So that's what all the ride lines have. That's just a 10k swinger or base. That's just helpful to have. It's free. You don't have to do anything for it. You don't have to attack with it. It's just a free 10k base. So, cool. Next up, the only card that can search for Persona riding in the ride lines, thankfully. Not going to try pronouncing Kunihiro Toku, 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 intercept. Auto, when is rode upon by, not going to try pronouncing Kunihiro Kiwame, discard a card from hand, stretch your deck for up to, not going to try pronouncing it, Kunihiro Kiwame, reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. It continues during your turn against the plus 2k power. So 12k base if you combine with this 20k swinger, but you get to search for a Persona ride by only discarding a card. So discard to ride, and then when you ride next turn, discard to ride, and then you use this thing's skill to discard again, search your deck for a Persona ride. So, discard 2 cards to get 2 cards in return. So I'd say it's a pretty good balance. So, I wouldn't say put this in your main deck like I would say with this guy or any of the cards, but it's still a good card to have. Next up, not going to try pronouncing... Oh, wait, no, this one's easier. Yamanbagiri... nope, all of them have the same name. I just misspelled it this time. Well, Yamanbagiri Kunihiro Kiwame. 13k base, Persona Ride, Twin Drive, grade 3. I kind of like his art, but he looks weird with like the shoulder pads, and his outfit kind of looks like a school outfit, so I'm kind of getting conflicting things here. Continuous Vanguard. If you Persona Ride with this turn, this unit gets +1 critical. Why? Why did the one card that can get a free Persona Ride search have to be the most not redundant, but like the most underwhelming skill of all time? Get +1 crit. Yeah, your Overture gives you a crit for free. Why? And then they'll just PG it. Why is this a thing? Why couldn't it have been like the one that I believe gives you like +10? I don't remember what the other one skill does, honestly, but it does something better than this. Why? Why did this have to be a thing? Why couldn't they give this to Magnolia? That would have been good, because then Magnolia can swing more. Why? Why? Skill, I guess. Auto Van, when this cost may be paid by Soul Blast 1 copy of this card. When it attacks, counterblast 1 and draw a card, and choose up to 1 card from your hand, call it to rear. To an open rear. So counterblast, call something to an open rear, and that's it. So you advance your field during the battle phase. I guess that's good, because like you get to gauge how far your opponent's going to move, so you can take advantage of, like, if they see a trigger, you're not wasting shield, but I'm just disappointed that the only thing that gets out of it is a crit, when, like, there are other cards in Token Rainbow that would do better with this, but you have to use this ride line to get it. It just feels wasted. Next up, onto the last card reveals of the day, and the last ride line, I'm assuming for Token Rainbow, Hachisuka Kotsu. 6k base, 5k shield, grade 0 boost. Obviously, if you went second, as usual, you get to draw a card. I don't know why, but when I look at him, I get for some reason, I flash back to the character that uses Orc Fist in the anime. I don't know why. When I look at him, I think of him for some reason, but I guess it's how it is. Hachisuka Kotsu Sento, 8k base, 5k shield, grade 1 with boost. I really like his action style, how you can see him drawing his sword. Active Vanguard once per turn. Soul Blast 1 reveal 2 cards of your ride deck with Hachisuka Kotsu in their card names. Choose a card from drop and put it to your hand. So that's really good. And then the standard 2k boost. But that's really good. You're recycling your cards from your discard. So you discard, write this, skill, Soul Blast, reveal the remaining 2 cards in your ride deck. Get the card you discarded back. That's really helpful. It's a good card. It interacts with the ride deck, finally. And you can get the card back. So you can discard a PG if you have no other options. Or you can discard something you want to keep. Or maybe you can bait your opponent in by discarding something that seems good, get it back, and then your opponent doesn't know when you're going to use it. Next up, we've got Hachisuka Koitsu Toku. 10k base, 5k shield, grade 2 with intercept. Auto when it's placed on van by riding from Hachisuka Koitsu Sento. Counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 Uashimi Kotsu, call it to rear guard and shuffle your deck, and then the standard 2k. I do not remember where this card is, but I know it's in here somewhere, so let's quickly go check through all the reveals until I find it again. There it is. This thing. This is what it searches for. The thing that gets plus 5k power. So, it searches for an okay target, not the best target, but, it can get benefits off it with power and being a 20k swing. So, okay, it's fine. Not the best, but not the worst either. And the final reveal for today, this card that I love and hate at the same time, Hachisuka Kotsu Kiwame. 13k base, Persona Ride, Twin Drive, grade 3, continuous van. If you have 5 rear guards, all of your front row rear guards get plus 5k power, and all of your back row rear guards get boost, and it's active on both players' turns. My only problem with this, you need 5 rear guards for this to go off. If you have 4, it ain't going off. It only counts rear guards, it doesn't count units. So if you're playing against the ride line that got revealed last week, the one that blows up back row rear guards, this thing's going to die to it. It does so well in the early game because you can just call down a board real quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Call down 5 rear guards. Skill activates. All of them get 5k power and they all get boost. The front row ones get 5k power and the back row ones all get boost. You can call down grade 3s, whatever you want to do. Swing for big numbers. Your opponent's turn comes around. They nuke stuff by effects. They attack into them. Your rear guards die. You can't use the skill. Next turn, you call down your units, but you're constantly throwing away hand cards to the point where if your opponent keeps sniping at your rear guards, like using decks like Eugene or the Token Rainbow deck from last week that I swear to God I can't remember the name of, or they're just playing the long game, they're trying to stall you out, so they're poking at your rear guards, you're eventually going to run out of hand cards, and then you won't be able to do anything. That's why I'm kind of like against this card, because I wish it had a second skill, like maybe a skill that called something, or even if it was just a when you Persona Ride, or if you Persona Road. I'd be fine with that, because that gives you like an extra skill to use in case your opponent locks you down. Here you're stuck if you don't have 5 rear guards. So I'm 50-50 on it, but its skill is free, so that's where I kind of just come aligned. It has its good sides, it has its bad sides. I feel like it's one of the most balanced cards I've ever seen before. So, yeah. And finally, after what I'm going to assume is a 20-minute video, I have yet to see the time yet, we are done with the weekly reviews. Sorry if I was talking fast, I just have something to do after this, so I was trying to get it over with. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join to the Patreon. I have a Discord, so go join that. I have a Twitch channel, so go follow that. I will start streaming to them. Give me 2 weeks, and I will start streaming to that Discord, to that Twitch channel. I have a Beyblade channel as my second channel, so go subscribe to that. And that's all for today, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to stand up. You're Vanity.